Peace and welcome to Oddly Familiar. Today we'll be taking a look at a sample library by Zero-G titled Ethnic. We have found many samples from it and want to showcase a few of them. Released in 1991, this CD contains just under an hour of audio. You can find a nice blend of music from different cultures, so it has a lot of unique sounds. Last thing that I want to mention, we will be playing the sample first, so you can try to guess which theme it appears in. Now with no further delay, here's Oddly Familiar episode 63. Up first, we have a sample titled Tie Horn 1. You may remember this sample from a previous episode. This same sample appears on Crash Bandicoot 2 on the theme Road to Ruination. Also in Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver on the theme Pillar's Tomb. And as a bonus, we have a new entry with this same sample. Here's one from Half-Life titled Jungle Drums. So now the mystery has been solved. It took quite a while, but the quest for the sample is finally over. I was listening to this Zero-G sample library and all of a sudden it plays. Quick shout out to SB Lover. Without that original comment, this sample wouldn't have been fresh in my memory. But with the comment, I recognized it as soon as it played. Up next, we have a triple whammy. Here is a sample titled Tibetan Flute. And here is the Bamboo Forest from Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. Now a sample titled Vietnam. And here is a different portion of the Bamboo Forest theme. And our third sample, titled Tibet Drone 1. Last but not least, another section of Bamboo Forest. This is a first. We have never found so many samples bunched together like that. This Tenchu theme is quite memorable. It's not my favorite on the soundtrack, but the unique sounds all come together to be quite unforgettable. Composed by Noriyuki Asakura, who also composed for the first two Tenchu games, with the first one being one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Up next, we have a sample titled Afrika Flute 4. That sample was used in Crash Bandicoot 2, Turtles Woods, The Pits, and Fight Night. Crash Bandicoot soundtracks all use a lot of samples. I think we could do a Crash Samples episode. We'll be looking into it. Released in 1997, 6 years after the Zero-G sample library. With Crash being on the PlayStation, the technology was reaching a point where the composers could actually sample and use Red Book audio in a video game. And Crash Bandicoot definitely took advantage of the tech. Our previous entry was Afrika Flute 4, and now we have Afrika Flute 5, the next sample in the library. And here is the Forest Temple theme from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. This sample has a really unique sound, so it was an easy one to remember. This is a case of a chiptune with a PCM sample, and not the first sample we have talked about that's from Ocarina of Time. Some may remember that classic Fire Temple theme. Composed by Koji Kondo, many people don't think about samples when they hear his name. But even the greatest use samples sometimes. Our next entry is titled Sitar Number 1, ARP. And that is from the very beginning of Diddy Kong Racing's Hot Top Volcano. At first, this one sounds a little bit different, so I went to the source, and I asked David Wise about this sample because it seems familiar. He said he would have sampled one high and one low note and then emulated it, because memory was an issue. And that's pretty impressive. Little things like this make him one of the top composers. Yes, Diddy Kong did use chiptune, but most consoles have channels that are capable of PCM audio, and the Nintendo 64 was no different. Our next sample is titled Afrika Flute 1, and it sounds like this. For the last time on our list today, we have Crash Bandicoot, The Great Gate, and Native Fortress. As we stated earlier, Crash is known for samples, although we won't mention any more in this episode, just for the sake of mixing it up. Also sampled in this same theme was an entry from our oddly familiar Sonic Samples episode. I was working on these two episodes around the same time, so while I was playing that Crash Bandicoot theme, I heard that Genjera sample, and I had to check if I left some audio playing in the background. Long story short, both composers sampled the same thing. And then on top of that, this Crash Bandicoot theme also contains a sample from Zero-G. This next sample is titled East Flute 2. And that, of course, comes from Tenchu Wrath of Heaven, the Bamboo Forest. So I separated this one from the other entry because this one has been sampled and used in a few different games, including Sonic R, Back in Time. So take me back in time. And it was also sampled in another Sonic the Hedgehog game. This time, Sonic Unleashed, Jungle Joyride, Daytime. And just as a quick bonus, we will include the Encarta 99 intro. all of these themes sample Zero-G. The first thing I couldn't help but think about was Tenchu and the Bamboo Forest theme. And this is now the 4th sample in this library we have found from this single theme. When it comes to the Sonic tracks, I refer back to the Hideki Naganuma tweet where he stated Sega provided him with the samples. I would think that this might be the case here. Sega provided samples to both the composers of Sonic R and Sonic Unleashed. They just happened to provide Zero-G to both. Our second to last is a sample named Uganda Female 3. And here is another one from The Legend of Zelda, this time from the Twilight Princess, a theme titled City in the Sky. Another really unique sample that makes it very memorable. If it was just a simple drum loop, it might not be as recognizable, but this isn't something you hear every day. The way the theme is in the game, it's almost dreamlike, with the faint sounds and vocals in the background almost giving off a creepy feeling. The sample itself is slowed down quite a bit when used in the game, but that just gives it a more unearthly feeling. And our last one today is from Sitar number 1. That comes from 2 stages on Mario 64, Lethal Lava Land and Shifting Sand Land. Used on the Nintendo 64, these themes have been compressed and they are no longer Redbook audio. Redbook audio is the CD audio standard. It should be digitized at 44,100 samples per second and at 16 bits. To put that into perspective, here is a DVD audio chart. CD Redbook audio is limited to this box here. I refer back to David Wise talking about the Nintendo 64 memory. He went through all of that work just to get that sound he wanted into the game. He easily could have just cut it out. It was only about 3 seconds total. But this is the difference between a good composer and a great composer. They put in that extra little bit of work, and that's what we have here on Mario 64. Koji Kondo is one of the greats, and I would be curious to the methods he used to fit these samples into the game. So there you have another samples episode. We will be going through some more sample libraries, and plus we may even find some more from this one, so we may have a part 2. Until then, I gotta give a huge shout out to gold level patrons, Bearsona, Quantum X, and Mr. Chris Hayes. I am ICC, thanks for watching, peace.